Imagine you're walking home. The sun is starting to set. You have food for your family, a fire waiting for you, a place to sleep. Everything feels normal. Then, suddenly, something stabs your ankle. You look down, and all you catch is a glimpse of scales disappearing into the grass. That's it. No warning. No second chance. No way to know whether you'll still be alive tomorrow morning. Today, a snake bite is a medical emergency. You call for help. You get antivenom. Doctors monitor your condition. Most people survive. But for almost all of human history, none of that existed. No hospitals, no ambulances, no antivenom, just fear and time. A lot of time. Time to wonder if the venom was already spreading through your body. Time to wonder if your children would grow up without you. Time to wonder whether the next sunrise would be your last. And that's exactly what happened to Kara. One wrong step. One hidden snake. One bite. And suddenly the most dangerous thing in his world wasn't a lion. It wasn't starvation. It wasn't the freezing cold. It was a creature so small and silent that he almost didn't notice it. So, what happened when ancient humans got bitten by venomous snakes? Did they actually know how to save themselves? Or did people like Kara simply wait to see whether death arrived before morning? Let's find out. The bite. The day had started like any other. Kara left camp shortly after sunrise. The air was cool. Birds filled the forest with noise. The tribe needed firewood. So he headed toward the river where fallen branches were easier to find. By late afternoon, he was returning home. His arms were full of wood. His mind was somewhere else. Thinking about food, thinking about sleep, thinking about absolutely nothing dangerous. And that's usually when danger strikes. One step, then another, then another. Suddenly, pain. Sharp, fast, violent, as if two needles had punched into his ankle at exactly the same moment. Kara dropped the wood instantly. The branches crashed onto the ground. His eyes shot downward for a fraction of a second. He saw it, a long, brown body sliding through the grass. Then it vanished. Gone. Silent. Like it had never been there. Kara froze. His ankle burned. His heart hammered against his ribs. Slowly, he lowered himself toward the wound. 2 puncture marks. Tiny. Almost insignificant. A little blood. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that looked deadly. And somehow, that made it even worse. Because now he had no idea what had just happened. Was the snake venomous or harmless? Did it inject venom, or was it a dry bite? Was he injured or dying? The truth was simple. Nobody knew. Not Kara, not his tribe, not even you would know immediately. And that's one of the most terrifying things about snake bites. The danger isn't always obvious. Sometimes death enters quietly, without pain, without warning, without giving you any clue about what's coming next. For several seconds, Kara remained perfectly still, listening, watching, waiting for the snake to return. But the grass remained motionless. The forest carried on as if nothing had happened. Birds continued singing. Wind continued moving through the trees. The world didn't care. The world never cared. Then a memory appeared. A memory he wished hadn't. Years earlier, another hunter had been bitten. His name was Tor. Tor stepped on a snake near the river. At first he laughed. Everyone laughed. The bite looked tiny, barely worth mentioning. By sunset, Tor couldn't walk. By midnight, he couldn't speak. By morning, he was dead. Kara remembered the fear in everyone's eyes, the crying, the silence, the empty place beside the fire afterward. And now, those same puncture marks sat on his own ankle. For the first time that day, Kara felt truly afraid. The long walk back the camp was still far away. Not impossibly far, but far enough. Maybe half a mile, maybe more. Normally, that distance meant nothing. Today, it felt enormous. Kara looked at the trees, the sky, the setting sun. Every minute mattered now. If the snake was venomous, he needed help. Immediately. So he started walking. Fast. At first, nothing seemed wrong. The pain stayed manageable. Just a burning sensation around the bite, but after a few minutes, something changed. A strange tingling sensation began crawling up his leg. Not pain, not exactly. Something stranger, something colder. His stomach tightened. Fear flooded through him. He walked faster, then faster. The forest suddenly felt enormous. Every shadow looked dangerous. Every rustle sounded threatening. What if he collapsed before reaching camp? What if another predator found him? What if nobody ever found him at all? The thoughts came rapidly, one after another. His breathing grew heavier. Sweat formed across his forehead. His hands shook, and then something strange happened. The symptoms started multiplying. His heart raced. His mouth felt dry. His vision seemed sharper. His muscles tightened. Was that venom or fear? The answer is fascinating, because fear and venom often look remarkably similar in the beginning. A terrified human body can produce symptoms that mimic poisoning. Rapid heartbeat, sweating, shaking, dizziness, panic, which means Kara had absolutely no way to know whether the danger was inside his blood or inside his mind. The uncertainty was torture. Every second became an argument. Maybe I'm fine. Maybe I'm dying. Maybe the snake wasn't venomous. Maybe it was. Maybe I'll make it home. Maybe I won't. The human brain hates uncertainty, and ancient humans lived with uncertainty every single day. But this uncertainty felt different. This uncertainty had teeth. The heartbeat enemy. By the time Kara spotted smoke from the campfire in the distance, he was practically jogging. And that's when the real danger began. Because Kara didn't know something modern doctors understand very well. His greatest enemy wasn't necessarily the snake anymore. It was his own heartbeat. Think about what happens when venom enters the body. Most people imagine it instantly flooding through the bloodstream, like pouring dye into water. But that's not usually how it works. At first, much of the venom remains near the bite, sitting in tissue, waiting, gradually spreading, and every beat of the heart helps move it farther, faster, deeper, toward organs, toward muscles, toward the nervous system, which means the worst thing a victim can do is panic and run. Yet that's exactly what most humans naturally want to do, including Kara. His instincts were screaming at him, move, run, get help, get home, survive. Those instincts had protected his ancestors for thousands of generations. They helped humans escape predators, avoid danger, stay alive. But now those same instincts were helping the venom spread faster. Nature can be cruel like that. The thing designed to save you can sometimes destroy you. Kara had no way of knowing. No doctor could stop him. No scientist could explain what was happening. No one in his world understood circulation. No one knew about toxins moving through tissue. No one knew about lymphatic systems. All Kara knew was that he needed to reach camp, and fast. By the time he stumbled into the clearing, his heart was pounding. His breathing was ragged. His ankle had swollen noticeably, and everyone around the fire immediately knew something was wrong. The conversation stopped. Heads turned. Children stared. Hunters stood up. Kara dropped to one knee, then another. The firelight illuminated the wound. 2 puncture marks, darkening skin, growing swelling. A silence settled across the camp, because everybody recognized what they were looking at. A snake bite, and in a world without hospitals that could mean only one thing. The night ahead was about to become the longest night of Kara's life. The tribe's argument. The moment Kara collapses beside the fire, the camp erupts into action. People rush toward him, children are pulled away, hunters gather around. Everyone talks at once, and almost immediately. An argument begins, because everyone believes they know what should happen next. An older hunter kneels beside Kara. "We have to cut the wound open." A woman known for treating injuries shakes her head. "No, leave it alone." Another man points toward the puncture marks. "We need to suck out the poison." A fourth insists they should tighten leather round the leg. Everyone has advice. Everyone has stories. Everyone knows somebody who survived. And everyone believes their method is the reason why. The problem? Nobody actually understands venom. Imagine sitting in the middle of that circle, your life hanging in the balance, listening to people argue over how to save you, knowing that one of them might be right, knowing they might all be wrong. That's exactly where Kara is. The pain in his ankle is growing stronger, the swelling is spreading, and every second feels more important than the last. Finally, the tribe chooses a course of action, not because they know it will work, but because doing something feels better than doing nothing. Attempt number 1. Sucking out the venom. A hunter leans down, places his mouth over the bite, and begins sucking. Blood fills his mouth. He spits it into the dirt, then repeats the process again, and again, and again. To the tribe, this makes perfect sense. If poison entered the body, surely you remove the poison, right? Actually, not really. By the time symptoms appear, much of the venom is already moving into tissue. Removing blood from the surface does very little. It's like trying to stop a flood by scooping water out with your hands. The damage is already happening elsewhere. But here's what makes this even worse. If the person sucking the wound has cuts inside their mouth, the venom can enter their bloodstream too. Suddenly, there aren't one but two potential victims. Of course, Kara's tribe doesn't know this. They're trying to help. They're doing what generations before them did, and sometimes the appearance of helping can be more comforting than actual effectiveness. The hunter eventually stops, his mouth stained red. Everyone waits, watching Kara, hoping for improvement. But nothing changes. If anything, the swelling seems worse. Attempt number 2. The leather tourniquet. Now another tribesman steps forward, holding a strip of leather. He wraps it tightly around Kara's leg, above the bite, then pulls harder and harder, until the leather digs deep into the flesh. The idea seems logical. Stop the poison from moving upward. Trap it. Keep it away from the heart. And honestly, this is one of those rare ancient treatments that sounds stupid today, but contains a tiny grain of truth. Certain forms of pressure can slow venom movement. The problem is that most people don't know how much pressure is too much. And Kara's tribe definitely doesn't. The leather becomes painfully tight. His foot begins losing color. Blood struggles to reach the lower leg. Hours later. That could become a serious problem, because if tissue loses blood flow long enough, it starts dying. And when the leather is finally removed, all that trapped venom may suddenly surge into circulation at once, creating a completely new danger. Once again. A treatment intended to save him might actually make things worse, but nobody around the fire knows that. They're simply trying to outrun death. Attempt number 3. Cutting the wound. Then comes the most painful treatment of all. A sharpened stone blade is heated briefly in the fire. An elder kneels beside Kara. He grips the ankle, looks directly at the puncture marks, and begins cutting. Kara screams. The blade slices through already damaged tissue. Fresh blood pours down his leg. The elder believes he's releasing the poison, letting the bad blood escape. Many ancient cultures practiced some version of this. Across continents, across thousands of years, different people, same idea. The problem? Venom isn't sitting there waiting to drain out. Most of it has already begun moving deeper into the body. The cuts accomplish little, except creating larger wounds. And larger wounds bring a new threat: infection. A threat so deadly in the ancient world that it killed millions of people throughout history. If the venom doesn't finish Kara, the infection might, but nobody knows that yet. The tribe only sees blood, and blood means progress. Or at least it feels like progress. The strange calm. Then something unexpected happens. About an hour later, Kara starts feeling better. The pain eases slightly, his breathing slows, the panic fades, the tension around the fire begins to relax. People exchange hopeful glances. Maybe the treatment worked. Maybe the danger is passing. Maybe the snake wasn't venomous after all. Kara feels relief wash through him. For the first time since the bite, he believes he might survive. And that's exactly what makes this moment so dangerous. Because some snake bites create a horrifying illusion, a false recovery, a period where the victim seems stable, maybe even improved, while serious damage continues quietly inside the body. Think about a storm. Sometimes the wind suddenly stops. Everything becomes calm, peaceful, almost beautiful. Then the second half of the storm arrives, stronger than before. Kara doesn't know it, but he may be standing inside that calm right now. The invisible battle. As darkness slowly approaches, everyone keeps staring at Kara's ankle, the swelling, the bruising, the wound. But the real battle isn't happening there anymore. It's happening somewhere nobody can see. Inside his body, inside his blood, inside his nervous system, and depending on the snake. The attack could be taking two very different forms. If the venom is attacking his blood, some snake venoms destroy tissue. They attack blood vessels, damage cells, prevent normal clotting. Imagine thousands of microscopic knives moving through the body, cutting, breaking, destroying. The swelling around Kara's ankle begins making more sense now. Blood vessels are leaking, fluid is escaping, tissue is becoming damaged. If the process continues, the skin could blister, turn black, even begin dying. And the damage won't necessarily stop at the ankle. The venom could affect organs too. Kidneys, liver, internal tissues, places Kara cannot feel, places nobody can see. If the venom is attacking his nerves. But there is another possibility, one that may be even more terrifying. Some venoms attack the nervous system itself. Instead of destroying tissue, they interfere with communication between the brain and muscles. Imagine unplugging wires inside a machine, one at a time, slowly, silently. At first the signs seem small. Heavy eyelids, blurred vision, difficulty swallowing, a strange weakness, nothing dramatic, nothing that screams danger. Then the paralysis spreads, and eventually, the muscles responsible for breathing may stop working entirely. Here's the truly horrifying part. Many victims remain mentally aware during this process. They know what's happening. They understand the danger. They simply can't stop it. Imagine being trapped inside your own body, watching yourself lose control. That's what severe neurotoxic venom can feel like. And nobody around Kara has the slightest idea which type he's facing. The plants of the healers. As night approaches, the tribe turns to something older than memory itself: plants, roots, leaves, bark. For countless generations, humans searched nature for answers. Sometimes they found them. Sometimes they didn't. A woman leaves camp briefly, returns carrying handfuls of crushed leaves. She grinds them into a paste, mixes them with water, then carefully spreads the mixture across Kara's swollen leg. The cooling sensation feels wonderful. The pain eases slightly. The swelling seems less angry. People nod, encouraged. Hope returns. And here's what's fascinating. Some ancient remedies actually did help. Not because they neutralized venom, they didn't, but because certain plants contained compounds that reduced inflammation, relieved pain, or discouraged infection. The relief Kara feels is real. The comfort is real. The cooling effect is real. But the venom? The venom remains completely untouched. And that's one of the saddest realities of ancient medicine. Sometimes a treatment genuinely helped. Just not enough. Not where it mattered most. The cliffhanger. The sun disappears. Darkness settles over the camp. The fire becomes the only source of light. Shadows dance across frightened faces. Kara lies near the flames, exhausted, weak, uncertain. Then an older hunter slowly walks toward him. A man everyone respects. A man who survived a snake bite years ago. He lowers himself beside Kara and begins speaking quietly, describing the swelling, the fever, the fear, the long night. Every word gives Kara hope, because this man survived. Maybe he will too. Then the hunter says something that makes the entire camp fall silent, something nobody wanted to hear. I felt better too. The fire crackles. Nobody speaks. The hunter stares directly into Kara's eyes and finishes his sentence. Right before everything became worse. Suddenly, the hope disappears, and somewhere beyond the circle of firelight, a distant animal howls into the darkness. Kara swallows hard, because for the first time, he realizes he may not be fighting the snake anymore. He may be fighting the night itself. The worst night of Kara's life. The fire crackles softly. The tribe sits in silence. Nobody is laughing anymore. Nobody is telling stories. Nobody is pretending everything will be okay, because everyone understands the truth. Nothing else can be done. The treatments have been tried. The leaves have been applied. The wound has been cut. The leather has been tightened. Now there is only one thing left: waiting. And waiting can be far more terrifying than pain. Hours pass. The moon climbs higher. The air grows colder. Kara's leg feels like it's burning from the inside. Every heartbeat sends another pulse of agony through his body. The swelling continues creeping upward, slowly, relentlessly, like something alive beneath his skin. His wife sits beside him, holding his hand, trying not to cry. Across the fire, his children sleep, too young to understand what is happening, too young to know that their father might not be there when they wake up. Kara watches them, their tiny chests rising and falling, their peaceful faces glowing in the firelight. And suddenly a thought enters his mind, a thought more frightening than the snake. What if this is the last time I ever see them? The pain in his leg no longer matters. The fear no longer matters. Now he's thinking about them, about everything he might lose, about everything they might lose. And for the first time, Kara begins wondering what death actually feels like. Modern humans rarely see death. Hospitals hide it. Medicine delays it. Technology protects us from it. But ancient humans lived beside death every day. Children died. Hunters died. Mothers died. Friends disappeared. Everyone had watched people leave camp one day and never return. Death wasn't unusual. It was expected. And that somehow made moments like this even worse, because Kara had seen what came next. He had watched families grieve. He had watched fires burn beside fresh graves. He had watched people whisper names that would never be spoken again. And now, his own name might become one of them. Near midnight, something strange happens. Kara hears someone call his name. Kara. Soft, distant, almost like a whisper. His eyes open. He looks around. Nobody is speaking. Everyone near the fire is silent. His wife notices him staring. What's wrong? Kara doesn't answer, because he hears it again. Kara. The voice sounds familiar. Too familiar. His heart pounds. The firelight flickers. The darkness beyond camp suddenly feels deeper, older, almost alive. Now imagine you're Kara. No knowledge of neuroscience, no understanding of toxins, no explanation for hallucinations. How would you interpret that voice? Many ancient people believed moments like these were messages from spirits, ancestors, the dead, warnings from another world. And honestly, who could blame them? If you heard voices in the darkness while fighting for your life, you'd probably search for meaning too. But the reality may have been much simpler. Fever, exhaustion, venom, a brain struggling to function normally. Yet knowing the scientific explanation doesn't make it any less terrifying, because regardless of the cause, the voice sounds real, and Kara cannot ignore it. The longest hours. The night stretches endlessly. Every hour feels like 3. Every minute feels like 10. Several times, Kara drifts towards sleep, only to wake up suddenly, gasping, sweating, disoriented. The older hunter who survived a snake bite remains nearby, watching, waiting, remembering. At one point, Kara asks him a question, a simple question, one nobody wants to answer. "Did you think you would die?" The old hunter stares into the flames. For a long moment, he says nothing. Then he nods. "Yes." Silence. The fire crackles. "And what happened?" The hunter shrugs. "I woke up." That's it. No secret cure, no miracle treatment, no hidden wisdom, just survival. Pure survival, the kind that depends on luck as much as skill, maybe more. Eventually. The darkness begins fading. The stars disappear. The horizon turns gray. Morning is coming. The tribe notices immediately. People sit up. Hope returns. Because Kara is still breathing. He's alive. He survived the night. And, for a brief moment, everyone celebrates. But here's something many people don't realize. Surviving the night doesn't mean surviving the bite. Some victims die after sunrise. Not before it. After it. The venom doesn't care about daylight. It keeps working, keeps spreading, keeps damaging, hour after hour. So when the first rays of sunlight touch Kara's face, the question isn't whether he survived. The question is whether the worst has already happened, or whether it's still coming. Hours pass, then more hours, something changes. The swelling stops spreading, not shrinking, just stopping, for the first time since the bite. The damage appears to be slowing. The tribe notices. Then Kara notices. Hope begins growing again, carefully, slowly. Nobody wants to celebrate too early. Nobody wants disappointment, but the signs are becoming difficult to ignore. His breathing is steadier. His vision is clearer. His thoughts are sharper. And by afternoon, one truth becomes impossible to deny. Kara is probably going to live. A wave of relief sweeps through the camp. People smile. Children laugh. His wife cries openly. Not from fear anymore, from gratitude. The nightmare is ending. Or at least, part of it is. Because surviving a snake bite and recovering from a snake bite are two very different things. Kara tries standing. Pain shoots through his leg instantly. He nearly falls. The tissue around the bite is badly damaged. The swelling remains severe. The skin is discolored, bruised, angry. Weeks will pass before he heals, maybe months, and even then, he may never fully recover. Ancient snakebite survivors often carried permanent reminders: limping, scar tissue, chronic pain, weakness, damage that never completely disappeared. Imagine living in a world where every hunt matters, every journey matters, every escape matters. Now imagine doing all of that with a damaged leg. The snake may not have killed Kara, but it could still change the rest of his life. Now, let's imagine something else. Imagine Kara didn't survive. What happens then? The answer is bigger than most people realize. Ancient tribes were small. usually between 20 and 50 people. Every individual mattered. Every adult carried knowledge, skills, experience, responsibilities. Lose one hunter, you lose food. Lose one parent, you lose protection. Lose one experienced adult, you lose years of survival wisdom. Modern society can survive the loss of individuals. Information exists in books, computers, schools. Ancient humans stored knowledge somewhere else, inside people, and when those people died, entire libraries vanished. Maybe Kara knew where water could be found during droughts. Maybe he knew migration routes. Maybe he knew which plants were safe to eat. If Kara dies, that knowledge dies too. A snakebite wasn't just a threat to one person. Sometimes it threatened the future of the entire group. So, did ancient humans know a cure? The honest answer is no, not a true cure. They had observations, traditions, experiences passed from generation to generation. Some remedies eased pain, some reduced inflammation, some probably prevented infections, but none could reliably stop venom already spreading through the body. The real breakthrough wouldn't arrive until thousands of years later. In the late 19th century, scientists discovered something incredible. Animals exposed to small amounts of venom could develop protective antibodies. Those antibodies could then be used to help human victims survive. That discovery eventually led to antivenom, one of the greatest medical breakthroughs in history. Today, millions of people have survived snake bites because of it. But Kara never had that luxury. No hospital, no emergency room, no doctor, no antivenom, just hope. And somehow, hope was enough. At least this time, think about how terrifying that really is. You're walking through grass. You hear nothing. You see nothing. Then, suddenly, your entire future depends on whether a snake decides to inject venom. No warning, no technology, no safety net, just chance. For almost 300,000 years of human history, that was reality. Humans survived predators, ice ages, starvation, disease, and countless dangers we barely think about today. Not because they were stronger than us, not because they were fearless, but because they kept going despite the fear. Kara got lucky. Millions of others didn't, and yet enough survived, enough endured, enough fought through nights exactly like this one, long enough for civilization to exist, long enough for medicine to exist, long enough for you to watch this video. And honestly, that might be the greatest survival story in human history. If you enjoyed following Kara's journey, subscribe because his story isn't over. Next time, Kara faces something even more dangerous than a snake bite. Something invisible. Something that killed more ancient humans than predators ever did. Infection. And trust me, that story gets much worse. What would you have done if you were Kara? Run for help? Stay still? Trust the tribe's remedies? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next story.